like trying to find a damn cat.
All right. Anyway, oh, wait, we got to take that off the screen. There we go. All right, we're gonna try that again, shall we? Make sure that I'm
Shall we?
not broadcasting on my Facebook this time. Let's just double check that. Okay, we're good, I think.
All right.
Look, man, we're still new at this. It's okay. Mistakes were made. Although new ideas were given to me, but we'll cross that road later.
Right.
My one buddy's like, "Wait, you live stream?" I'm like, no, but." So anyway,
Yes, no, and no, but yes.
well, for those on the Facebook page that missed it, we're back. Uh, but anyway, we're like I said, last weekend we did a building dedication at New Bloomfield. It was a good time. Got to walk campus. Nothing's really changed. A few little things here and there. Other than that, it's like starting over, you know. Technical
Right.
difficulties. But anyway, so the big thing I wanted to discuss tonight, whatever, was somebody reached out to me, and hold on, bear with me here. We're multitasking,
Yep.
right? But somebody had reached out over the last post yesterday, and then reached out to me in a DM, and he wasn't trying to stir the pot. I told him, I was like, totally respectable. I understand where he was coming from. But the question got arise that basically, because obviously we're doing the podcast, it's all school related. We try to keep it school related, or anything around the school. And he basically asked, the question was, was Carson Long really that big of a deal? And I don't want to say I took that question to heart, but I see where he's coming from as well. My buddy Nick, who was going to be on tonight, him and I were talking about it today, and I wanted to get an outside perspective. Nick is my best friend. We grew up together. We've known each other for 40 some years. We've always been there for each other, thick and thin. And I wanted an outside perspective of, hey, you saw what school did for me. You saw the changes that it made me, stuff like that. And I said, to you, do you think that's a big deal? And he was kind of on the same page with me. He said, absolutely. I mean, there were things that I did in my career, in my life, that I would probably not have done had it been for the public schools around me. Obviously, the student ratio was way lower at CLI versus public schools. You're talking a
Oh,
50 to 1 to a 10 or 15 to 1.
yeah.
The leadership training, like I said the other day, my first job, my first real job, I became a supervisor because of that. The first thing they said, "Oh, you have military school background." I said, "Yeah," and they said, "It says leadership training," and I said, "Yeah." And next thing I knew, I was a supervisor. So to me, I don't want to say that it was a big deal, but it was definitely a huge impact on my life and talking with Nick, even the people around me. I mean, even he said had his family been able to afford it, he absolutely would have went. He would have loved to go, and just for the experience. I think the military experience, the boarding school, and like Nick said, and I'm going to screw it up. I know I brought up about how the independence and the self reliance, and I forget how he worded it, but basically that you're there versus a public school. You don't have the mom and dad to say well, you need to do this, or you don't have the mom and dad to go, hey mom, dad, I need help with this. You didn't have that, and to me that was it was a big deal. I mean, it really changed a lot of our lives. I know a lot of the alumni out there would probably agree with me. I know not everyone's experience was the same. Everybody had different experiences with it. I know your experiences, Michael, were obviously, even though we went together, your experience was different than mine. You know,
Oh yeah. Oh
but
yeah.
I'm just wondering, what's your thoughts on it? I mean, was Carson Long, or is it still to you? Is it a big deal? Is it a big thing? I know you had already talked about sending your boys there. What's your take on it?
Well, so
looking back on it, and obviously when we were going there, we didn't really want to be there. I'll say that my first 2 years at Carson Long were rough because I was away from home, I was away from friends, I was away from family, and it took me quite a while to adjust. My junior and senior years, however, were gravy. But looking back, and like you were saying, like the leadership classes, the smaller classes where you had more structure and being able to talk with your teachers, and then where we since we lived there, we had our building officers. You had let me see, let's see, your first you had Lieutenant Peterman and Captain Greco. Um, and then I forget who else I'd have to flip through books, but like my first year, I had Lieutenant Huff and Lieutenant Trout, and then I had Captain Robinson as my main building officer my sophomore, junior, senior year. And Robbie was he was scary, but he was also fair and he was truthful. And if you really needed help with something and you needed that father figure that a good portion of us really didn't have, I didn't. Well, my parents were divorced, and at that point in time in my life, there was a lot of angst and turmoil between my mom and dad, and my younger sister and I were kind of caught in the middle. Um, we talked that out,
Yeah.
obviously, and all that. The past is the past. But I mean, at that point in time, I really needed a male figure in my life, and I didn't have it. And then that's where he stepped in. And I got a lot of good and sound advice from him. My couple of those infamous father son chats. I might have had about one or two of those.
Yeah, I know. Like David Kamoli was kind of that way with me. He gave me the tour on campus. I got to walk on the gym floor before anybody else, which was kind of cool. And
Oh
it,
yeah,
it
they guarded that gym floor
oh
like it
yeah,
was.
he's first thing he said when we walked in there. You weren't in here. It's okay. I can say all that now. But like he was like that to me. It was. I mean, I still call him Pop every time I see him. Oh, what's up, Pop? And that actually started my first year. Because he would be walking down the hill and my window was right there, and I'd just start juggling, yo, what's up, Pop? And he'd be like, what are you doing up there, son? But he was kind of that way with me, and we always had that strong bond. We still do. I mean, like I said in the other podcast, I helped his daughter out the one time she was having car issues down here, and he was at Valley Forge, so him and I were always tight. But yeah, I think you're right. We all kind of not that my parents weren't there for me. My parents definitely were. I mean, 100
Oh yeah.
percent. I think for me it was more the public school system obviously wasn't working.
Oh yeah. No.
I think it was more I wasn't working with the public school system at the time. the
Well,
story
you could
the
say
stories
that.
I could say what I did in school, but you
Yeah.
know,
For me, it was definitely a little bit of both. I'll admit it. Laurel public school system back then, and even today, is not the greatest. But even for me as a kid at that time, but the other thing for me with Carson especially, and I would say it was a big deal because it taught me um, self confidence, self respect, and even respect towards others. Because where I grew up, or when I grew up as a kid, I grew up in a poor family. Um, wore a lot of secondhand clothes, or I got clothes from Walmart and stuff like that. So it wasn't the latest trend, the latest fashion, and I got picked on and teased on because of that from kids in school. And at that point in time in my life, I had a fuse on my temper about that big, and they knew that, and they would light me off. But every time that I'd lose it, I was the one that got in trouble because, well, obviously the teacher didn't see them picking on me, teasing me, doing whatever. They just heard me lose my shit, and and then there I am.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but once you went there, we're all in uniform. So it doesn't matter, where you had if you were wearing Tommy Hilfiger or Adidas or Reebok or whatever. We were all the same. So now, I mean, obviously, we all know, whose parents had more money and whatnot, but um,
no comment. You definitely saw that in the school.
that's a whole other discussion. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, and I agree with you. I think everybody's first year, I mean, my dad will definitely attest to it. calling home, get me out of here. You know, I want to come home. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh yeah.
um,
Oh yeah.
you know, I think we
I'm
were all
sorry, I
there.
promise I'll do better. This and that. Oh yeah.
Hold on, I'm multitasking here, so just bear with me. But yeah, you know, we were all definitely there. You know, it's like, oh, I don't like it here. I don't want to be here. You know, and then there were the kids that, you know, they would be bad to get out, and you know, oh well, I don't want to be here, so I'm going to get thrown out. I mean, you and I know a couple that you know obviously
Oh
went
yeah.
that route, you know, and broke into ROTC and went for a 20-mile hike. But you know, I mean, we all saw it. You know, we knew. But I think, like I had said to Nick earlier, you know, the fact that we stuck together, like you and I were very close. You know, especially toward my senior year. You know, you and I were very good friends. Jason Lehman, you know, he was in our little clique. You know, and there were definitely cliques. You know, everybody had their clique in school. We all know it. Um, you know, but if we didn't have that, you know, that's where you notice the problem people, the people that didn't socialize, that were antisocial, call it what you want, social anxiety, whatever. You know, those were the ones that I don't think had the same experience that we had. Um,
You know.
you know, definitely towards senior years that you notice that guys were, you know, as you work your way up in the ranks, you find that it becomes easier. Well, I don't know so much easier. I mean, it's definitely was, you know, a little bit of stress, but it was not as hard
I
to you know, comprehend what was going on and what you had to do. You knew what you had to do by that point, you know.
at the end of my junior year, before I came back for my senior year, um, I had got promoted up to sergeant first class, and I had gotten called into Colonel Holman's office. I think it was like 2 days before graduation, and he looked at me and said, "Merrick, I don't know what to do with you." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, you've worked hard and you've earned your rank to sergeant first class." He goes, "But I don't know where to put you." And I looked at him. He goes, "Well, I'm thinking about either the sergeant major or the drum major." And I was like, "Well, sir, I'm already in the drum corps. Why not drum major?" Well, I think he was planning on putting Jamie Curran in there because he had gotten like sergeant first
Who
class or staff or something
who
like that.
who on a side note is another local boy.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
I
lives
haven't
up here
seen
by
him in
me.
years. I'd love to
Yeah,
see him again.
I've been trying to reach out to him. I know he was in Delco, down here by me. I mean, he's been over my house a few times. Him and his girlfriend at the time, wife, whatever. So I'll have to try and reach
Yeah.
out to him. But no, go ahead.
Um. So so we discussed it, and I told him, I said, "Sir, wherever you feel is best to put me, I'll I'll accept it." Well, then they had the thing where they called out who all was doing what, and there were some kids that gave me a lot of flack because they wanted Kieran to be the drum major because he was more popular around some of, and I understood that, and that was fine, But even when I came into my senior year, I when we all first got together, I told him, "Look, I'm not here to be your friend. We're out here to just do our thing." I said, "Outside of this, if we hang out, cut around, clown around, whatever, that's fine." I said, "But when we're out here in formation, we do what we need to do. It doesn't take that long. Just get us through the hour it takes, and you can go about your business. Do whatever you want. I don't care." And most of them understood that. I think I only really had problems with like two people that really wanted to stir the pot every now and then. But other than that, most of the other guys got it.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But
so your senior year,
I was first sergeant,
you were the sergeant major, weren't you?
A company first sergeant. See. Oh wait, gotta lean that way, one way or the other.
Okay,
I
well,
never did get. I never did put the. I
then.
never did put the new ones on the sleeves, but I got them. I got them on the apple the shoulders. So,
No. But who
but
was who was the sergeant major your senior year? Playing sergeant major.
Ajib. I don't know if you remember
That's
him.
right.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
him.
I remember it.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think the main topic here, like I said, it definitely did have an impact.
Oh yeah.
I don't see it like I had said to Nick, and Nick agreed. I don't see it as a high school. I didn't see it as that. I saw it as, I mean, you got to remember, man, 215 people for sixth grade to 12th. 6 to 12. 215 people. That's nothing. You know, Ridley, where I'm at, their graduating class was probably 250. They're seniors.
Mm-hmm.
So we were definitely, to even be accepted. I mean, obviously, you couldn't have any kind of criminal background. They didn't want anybody with court backgrounds. I mean, obviously, some snuck their way in. We know that. But
Oh yeah.
they were looking. It was a college prep school, and they were looking for students that didn't have potential in public school, but could have potential in a private setting.
Mm-hmm.
So to even be accepted, that's a step in itself. Um, so for me, absolutely, I don't want to say, it's not a full, well, it is now because of the podcast. It's not a full time thing in my life, but it is definitely something that I don't think, you go a day without at some point in your day looking back at the school and reflecting on something or something that happens and you go, yep, been there, done that, or even a week at least. There's not a week that would go by that you don't reflect back at the school or look at the school and say, been there, done that, I guess is the best way to
Yep.
put it.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean, well, even today, like especially even at my job where I work, like a lot of the leadership skills and the social skills that we learn from there carry with me to this day, 25 years later. And I think about that. So it was a big deal. It was a huge impact on us. And it's I almost feel like every year that goes by since we graduated and left, it's like the more and more a lot of the Carson Long stuff comes out and sticks with us. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. I mean, like I said, we were discussing, yeah, like even just my fire department uniform, I wear that totally differently than I did prior to military school. Prior to military school, your dad puts a shirt on, tie and all that. Okay, you look fine. Let's go. Now it's like, okay, check the gig line, doing the buddy tuck. There was one voluntary thing I did with Colonel Holman that I will never do again.
Oh,
I,
buddy cut.
you remember that? I need a volunteer. Everybody
Oh
looked at me.
yeah.
I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll tell you what, man. When he grabbed my shirt and shoved me forward,
You talking in real time? Like,
oh
okay.
man, it was like every breath of air came out of my chest when he did that. I was like, yep, never again. And he laughed about it. He thought it was funny.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But like I
Hell, I
said,
still remember when he was teaching us how to give a man's handshake, and you were feeling the knuckles crack when he gripped your hand.
yep, you're not squeezing hard enough. It's
Yeah,
like I
right.
can't when you're crushing my hand. But I think Nick had brought a point up. That, and I'm not saying this individual. I don't want to mention names. I don't want to say this individual did have a bad experience because I don't know. I mean, he may not have. He may have. But again, everybody had a different experience there. Whether it was good or bad. Obviously the ones that were thrown out. I mean, well, and I can't even say that because, Savelli, love you to death, buddy, miss you. Savelli was thrown out, and he still looks back at it. He sees it as a positive outcome. But I'm sure there are, some that look back at it and it's totally different. They want nothing to do with it, or it was nothing for them. And like Nick said, everybody took a different experience on it. Everybody came out with a different outcome. Some of us graduated, some of us didn't. I know my graduating class, somebody will have to correct me if I'm wrong, class of 98, I believe we were 32 or 28 or 32. Of that, I think 3 went into the military, 2 or 3. 2 did not go on to college. He knows who he is. I'm not going to say his name on here. He texted me today, wished me happy birthday. You know who you are. Me and him, which by the way, irony, we were roommates at one point. Go figure. But we both went to technical school as well. So even though we didn't go to college, we still went to a technical school. I went to,
Right.
I went and got my CDL. I got my Class B, and then I got my Class A at 21. Went through schooling to do that. Went through my Rec Master certifications and, all my rescue certifications for towing and stuff. So technically, it's a technical school. It's not credited, but, it's still a
Mm-hmm.
skill learned. And obviously, I'm doing very well with that now, have been for 20 plus years, and I love what I do. So, I'm not saying I'm fully successful, but, I'm holding my own, and I'm doing good. I got a beautiful house and everything. So for that ratio to be successful, I mean, you're talking almost a 90, I'll just say a fair 99% because I don't know how many may have dropped out of college or whatever. But you figure a
Right.
95 to 99% ratio of my graduating class that, as far as I know, have all been successful versus you take, my local high school graduating class, even guys that I went to school with, my class in 98 in Ridley, God bless you guys. Um, you know, I don't know I don't know what their ratio was, but I can guarantee you it wasn't half at time of graduation. It wasn't half what our graduating class there was. Now, granted, you're talking 250 versus 30 some, but
Hmm.
that ratio of 90 some percent that were college accepted went on to a
Hmm.
military career or a trade school versus what, maybe 70% of that 250 that went on to college. And I couldn't tell
Right.
you the number. I honestly don't know, but I'm just shooting a figure. So, you're talking a big difference there. So again, to
Yeah.
me,
That's
I
true.
do. I think that the school was definitely a big deal. And I mean, I'm not saying it was a big deal like, hey, look, we're doing a podcast and all this, merchandising, whatever you want to say, but to me
Right.
personally, yeah, the school has a lot of personal, effect to me, and it's really affected my entire life and how I handle things. So,
Exactly. Yeah, to say it was a big deal, well, maybe a big deal, maybe wouldn't be an appropriate phrase, but definitely a big impact. Definitely, I would say that.
yeah,
Um,
and again, everybody had a different
for
take
me,
on it.
and yeah, for me, a big that's always going to be my alma mater, and that's always going to be my home. No matter what. I mean, even if 20 years down the road the campus gets sold again to some other whoever, that's always going to be Carson Long, and that's always going to be home until
Yeah,
yeah, until my last breath on this earth.
well,
That'll
and
never change.
I was talking to Keith over the weekend, and I said something to Keith. He's like, oh, he's like, we were talking. I was like, oh yeah, I'd love to move back out here. And he goes, oh, what are you looking for? I'm like, well, I'm not looking now. Like 20 years down the road, maybe. But I would. I'd love to move back up there. It's a beautiful area. It's rural. I mean, I live outside of Philadelphia, man. Come on, it sucks. You know that. You're from
Yeah,
this area. It sucks.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, if I had the chance to move back out there, I absolutely would. I mean, fortunately, I work in a career that I can, I could get something out there. Obviously, there's several tow companies out there that do big wreckers and stuff. But I'm looking more maybe toward retirement or something. Yeah, I would consider going back out there. I mean, it's a beautiful area. It's wonderful people. Last weekend,
mhm,
like I said, I mean, everybody was open arms, and oh yeah, you were a student. Oh, welcome home. And that's what it was. It wasn't welcome back. It was welcome home. And I think that's what really hit me was, it's like it's not welcome back. It was welcome home. And they
yeah,
did. That town accepted us for, as part of their town. So,
yep,
and even the town. I mean, I'm, talking with people this weekend. I mean, that school was definitely a big deal to them. I mean, it was a part of their economy. It was definitely a big boost in their economy. Um,
oh yeah.
I mean, just financially and personally,
I,
people
I
really
know they
respected that.
definitely kept Mama's Pizza in business during the school year.
What was it, the Quickie Mart or whatever it was? The Unimart,
Oh yeah,
Unimart.
you
It was a
did.
Unimart.
Yeah, yeah.
Getting old, man, showing our age. For those that don't know, I
I,
just turned
if I
45 on Saturday,
recall,
so yeah.
little side note, if I recall, since we're all graduated and all that now, I seem to recall there was a couple cadets that used to, if you went behind a Unimart, you could get some ink pen tattoos over there for a certain amount of money
I remember
back
hearing
in the
about
day.
that. Uh, that's funny. As long as it didn't show, man, nobody knew it, right?
Oh yeah,
Actually,
they were
Jerry
really
Jerry
small.
Foltz, I know you subscribe. You told me to.
Yeah, there was a couple guys that did. I like they did their initials, or
You know what?
the
I might
girls
even
maybe
have
did
it.
their.
I know
I think
Jerry.
a couple
Jerry,
did
you're
their numbers
probably
on or something.
listening. Jerry did a giant. I don't even remember what it was. He did something real huge on his arm one day, and somewhere I have the picture. So Jerry, if I find that, I'll send it to you. But I remember that, man. Like he did his whole one arm like all done up in ink, And he's, I just remember saying, like, dude, you better hope that nobody sees that. Like if the building officers see that, you're done. Yeah, I gotta find that. I had that picture somewhere, and he's sitting there. He was all proud of it too, man. I know he remembers that. Uh, that's too funny. But well, even like Nick was saying, and it's he used to go up there with me, and he would say just to see how we did things. Like it wasn't okay. Ring the bell and everybody goes and gets dinner. You know what it was like. Line up and the whole nine. And even Nick said he's like that impressed him to a point where it's your responsibility. 5:15 I think it was or whatever it was. 5:15 you were out there. You had to be out there. You didn't have mom and dad to say, hey, you got line up in 5 minutes. Get up, get dressed, and go. That was all on your own. Well, you had a couple sergeants screaming in your ear too, which I'm sure didn't help. But that was all on our own. You had a schedule, a routine that you followed. Yeah. What do you call it? Hour guard. Prime example, 6:00. You had to be out there. Study hall, 7:15. Man, you were in that room.
Like what, 1 to 4 or something like that.
And the big one was Sunday. Because Sunday there wasn't line up outside your building and go to line up. You went down in front of the chapel. You lined up on your own. They took count, and if you weren't there, God forbid, man, oof.
Mm-hmm.
Or like weekend passes. God forbid you came back at 8:02.
Yeah.
2 minutes late because you were stuck in traffic. Because that's that's our fault.
Oh Lord, yes. Colonel Holman preached on that. Leave an hour earlier.
Leave an hour earlier. You should predict these things. God forbid the highway was shut down for 6 hours because a tractor trailer went down the cliff. But hold on.
Before I leave to go back to camp.
Hold on. But the people on Amtrak were allowed to come in late because the train was late. Explain that one.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know about that one.
But
yeah. Said they were on the airplanes.
Yeah. God bless them guys that flew all the way overseas and stuff, man. Because that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I remember there were some. We had a couple like Christmases and stuff like that where guys stayed back on campus. And I remember coming back and they used to tell us stories, man. Oh, we didn't have to wear a uniform. We could wear civs. We did whatever we wanted. And I'm just sitting there in the back of my head going, I find this really hard to believe. But on the other hand, I believe it.
Right.
Like I know I did summer camp. Those that didn't know, I did summer camp my senior year. And once you graduate, you're not part of summer camp. And this was Sergeant Stone, God bless his soul. Sergeant Stone kept pushing me. He's like, oh, you should do summer camp. I'm like, dude, I'm graduating. My parents are taking me to Disney after I graduate. Like, I'm going home for a week and then going to Disney, and you want me to go to summer camp. And he's like, no, it's not what you think. He's like, you'd be part of the staff. We need guys for staff. And I'm like, what do you mean staff? He's like, staff. Like, you're not with everybody else. So I gave in. I'm like, all right, we'll do it. We'll do it. I told my dad, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do summer camp. So it came home for, it was like 2 or 3 days. And then packed up, went back on campus. Well, we didn't have to be in uniform. So went back up campus in civilian. So I'm like, all right, this is kind of cool. And there was probably, I want to say 4 of us. I think Ian Lundy was there. I know Boltitude was there, but that's a whole different story. McIntosh, who's apparently not listening tonight. I don't remember if he went or not. I remember there was a couple from my building that went though. And I remember we stayed there for like 2 or 3 days. We were on campus. And it was like a free for all, dude. No uniform, no nothing. Like we just did whatever we wanted, meals were ready. That was the only thing, 8:00, 8:15, you had to be in the dining hall. That was it, So that was kind of cool to an aspect. But what scared me was when we went to Fort Indian Town Gap, we loaded in the van. I think this was right after they bought the van. Remember my senior year, they finally bought a van. We loaded in the van. Yeah. We pull up into Indian Town Gap, and Sergeant Stone the whole ride looking at me. He's like, "You're gonna have a great time. You're gonna be part of us. You're gonna be working with us. You'll have a great time." As soon as we pull up, he goes, "All right, I'll be right back," and he walks off. Here comes this staff sergeant, screaming at everybody on, just like, dude, I kid you not, it was like something out of boot camp. Screaming at everybody in the van, get out of the van, let's go, let's go, let's go, grab your stuff, come on, line up, line up. And I'm like freaking out, like, wait a minute, dude, I'm supposed to be part of staff. So I said something. I went like this. I'm like, excuse me, staff sergeant, shut up. I didn't talk to you. You don't talk until you're spoken to. And I'm like, what the hell? So I'm like freaking out thinking like, dude, I did not sign up for this. All of a sudden, here comes Sergeant Stone. And I'm trying to like, we're standing at attention. And I'm like doing this. I'm like trying to get his attention. Like, yo, Sergeant, what's going on here? And he walks over to me all casual. Just walks over to me, looks at me and looks down, looks up and goes, well, what the hell are you doing standing here? I'm like, I don't know. He told us to. And the sergeant comes over and goes, oh, wait, are you the graduate? I'm like, well, yeah. And he goes, oh, yeah, get the hell out of line, man. What are you doing? Like, he was like funny about it. He's like, oh, just get the hell out of line. Why are you standing in line with these guys? He's, what's wrong with you? Oh, dude, it was the funniest moment ever, man. Like, I was freaking out thinking like, oh, my God, dude, if this is what it's going to be like, I did not sign up for this. And then it turned into, well, no, you're part of us. You're supposed to be yelling at these guys, not us yelling at you. I was like, what the hell, man? But no, it was, I would say it was different walking around campus like that close to graduating, walking around campus in civilians. And it was like, it was a really weird feeling, because, it was still drilled in your head, man. You didn't walk out without a hat on. You didn't go here without, you either sweats or uniform or BDUs. So it was definitely an odd feeling, but they used to tell us, Christmas time we didn't wear uniforms and we wore civs and we did this and we did that, and it's like I didn't believe it, but in the same aspect, I understand, school's out. We're not Carson Long at that, at that point it was campus. So, but yeah, I don't know, but try to see where everybody's at tonight. So,
I don't know.
It says we're live on Facebook, so we'll find out. It's also a Monday night, so. But yeah, no, like I said, I don't I don't want to say it was a huge deal, but to me it definitely was. It's definitely part of my life, and I don't think anything will ever change. Nothing will ever change that. Carson Long definitely it changed a lot of us for the better.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I will say this. Even to this day, I don't know for you, but I know for me, when I do go up, and as soon as I make that turn from Carlisle on the 34 North, and I see like the mountains as I'm going up, there is just like this overwhelming calming and peace and happiness that just comes over me.
Oh yeah,
because it's like I know I'm going home.
Yeah,
I feel so happy driving that road. So until I get to campus, and it's the most amazing feeling ever.
All right, McIntosh was listening. I didn't see his comments till now. Sorry, buddy.
Going up there, it's so calm and peaceful when you go up there.
Yeah, and like I said, I could definitely see myself retiring up there. It's hard to explain. Like you said, you turn off of that highway, and you get into that area, and it just, you feel it, And back in the day, it was a bad feeling. You saw the monument. It was the first thing. You saw the monument. The statue. Everybody joked about the Statue of Liberty in the Susquehanna River. Which actually was put there. I want to say either it was one of the years we were there that was put there. So that was new. Like we used to joke about it, but that was new when we were there. I'd have to Google it. I know Keith that owns the bed and breakfast I go to. He knows the story behind it. But we used to joke like, oh, you see the Statue of Liberty. Oh, we're almost there. Life's over. And or guys that would sneak into the truck stop at what's that, Clark's Ferry, I think it is, the bridge or whatever.
Yeah.
Guys would sneak into the truck stop and throw their uniform on because they weren't riding from New York, with their uniform on. But it's just you always had that feeling, that you knew you were close. And I'll tell you another story. I was working for another company, and I picked up a load in Penn State. And I said to the guy, joking, I'm like, yo, man, I think I'm overweight. And he's like, no, you're fine. Well, next thing I know, I blow a tire. Lo and behold, in Newport, PA, on 322. So knowing that area, I'm like, all right, I got to find somewhere to pull off. I'm not sitting on Route 322. Well, there's a McDonald's right here. I mean, I knew that from all the years at Carson Long. So I pull into McDonald's and yeah, I even went in and got lunch while I was waiting on the tire guy. And I was joking with the girl inside. I'm like, yeah, I went to Carson Long. And that's how I knew the McDonald's was here. And she's like, oh my God, really? I'm like, yeah. And the side note to that is I got on the PA Turnpike and blew out 2 tires and burned the entire trailer completely to the ground. So my company was out the trailer, their company was out all their equipment. I told them I was overweight. But, it was just funny because it was like right in Newport. And I'm like, this is just an omen, dude. Like, it's because I'm going through this area. But it was strange because, like I said, you get off the exit and you just had this, it was like this weird gut feeling, even last weekend when I went up there, I mean, granted, we came in the back way off of, 11 and 15, through Harrisburg. Yeah. And, it's like as soon as you come off of that Cloverleaf, it's like you just know you're in Perry County and you know that, it's like you just feel it. So it was definitely a weird feeling, but you knew you were back home. You knew you were where you belonged, And it is a beautiful area up there. I mean, they're wonderful people up there. And I'm not just saying that. I mean, it's the truth. It sucks in the winter time. I will say that. I mean, they get some heavy snow up in that mountains, but it is a beautiful area.
A light snow for them was like about 4 to 6 inches, and that's light for them.
Yeah, but it is. It's a wonderful area. I mean, spring, fall, summer, even winter. I mean, it's just, the people up there are great. Like I said, we stay at Bridgeview Bed and Breakfast, and I love it there, man. I mean, the owner's fantastic. He's a great guy. They give you breakfast every morning, beautiful rooms. I'm a train guy, so right on the Rockville Bridge is awesome. And it's a very, very wonderful area, very wonderful people, But check out what's he saying here. Senior year, I did not show up for a lot of formations. Never got in trouble for it. Mark McIntosh.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, but I thought Mark. I thought you were. He was a waiter though, wasn't he? I swear he was.
Yeah, I think so. So that's probably why.
Yeah, because we always used to get extras at the table because of him. That's funny. But in the long scheme, I do. I can honestly say I probably wouldn't have done or be where I was if it wasn't for the school versus going to the public school around me. It was the class ratios. It was the that's what it was. Nick said structure. We had structure. You didn't have that in public schools. You didn't have a teacher telling you, hey, yeah, okay, yeah, they said here's your homework for tonight. Go home and do it. Well, the teacher's not there to make sure you do it. You sit in study hall, man. Especially if your building instructor was your teacher and he knew you had that homework. That homework was done that study hall and turned in that night. I mean, that's what it was. My dad used to say all the time, they used to sit down with me in public school. They would sit down with me at the dining room table and make sure I did my homework. Filled out correctly, right answers. Getting me to turn it in the next morning, yeah, that was a different story. Truth be told. But with Carson Long, I mean, that was you didn't have that option, man. You either did it or you knew where your 6 to 7 o'clock hour was being spent. You had that extra hour of study hall, and it only took 2 or 3 times to get that to realize, like, hey, this sucks. He said he was never a waiter. I thought he was. I really did. I thought he was. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, I guess I'm wrong. Sorry, buddy. I thought you were a waiter. I don't know why I was thinking that. I got to move my chat channel over here so I can actually see it. There we go. That's
it's only been 20-some years since we've been there, so some things might be a little hazy.
Oh yeah, Gregory, what's going on? Welcome. Well, McIntosh, since you're in the chat here watching, what's your take on it? I mean, was Carson Long a big deal to you, and what was your take on that? Like I said, I mean. Yeah, the guy that brought this up, he even said, he's like, I'm not trying to bash, I'm not trying to, I don't want to make it negative or anything, and I understand that, he just had a valid question, and I think it's a valid point. You know, I mean, some people may not have seen it that way. You know, obviously, some people got a different take on it. You know, like we said, some those that were thrown out and stuff like that. So, you know, I can't talk for them, but I can only speak on what me and you went through. I mean, like I said, we were close, and Jason Lehman, Jerry
Yeah.
Foltz, you know, McIntosh, you know, we were all a pretty tight group. You know, I mean, we stuck together, and you know, I know there were a few people that you know got a different take on it. I mean, a lot of the junior schoolers, especially. You know, I mean, but then again, you're sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade, and sixth grade was what, 7 people, maybe, if that.
Mm-hmm.
I know it was probably the smallest class in the whole school. You know, but you're talking a bunch of literally little kids. You know, I mean, so they're definitely going to get a different take. So if you're only there for 2 or 3 years in the junior school, it's a whole different ball game in the high school, man. I mean, like when you're in the dorm buildings and everything, it's definitely a different experience. It's not like it was in the junior school or the zoo, as everybody called it. You know, uh, one day I'm going to put the soundboard up here, and every time we bring the junior school up, it's going to play zoo sounds. But you know, and yeah, like I said, I think that you know it was definitely way different than public school. I don't think there's even a comparison to it. You know, I mean, you couldn't even compare it. You know, like Nick said, there's structure. You know, you have structure, you have self reliance. You don't have that in high school. The only structure you have is here's your class schedule, here's your times, here you go. You know, and prime example, my ninth grade year, like I said to you the other day, I don't think I went to any of his classes from November on. You know, I sat either in the cafeteria or in one of the other rooms on the computer. You know, somehow I still passed that year. I don't know how that worked. You know, so you know the structure's there, but I guess the enforcement is the word I'm looking for. The enforcement's not where we had that enforcement. You know,
Oh yeah.
I mean, where'd it go? It was here the other. It was here the other day. Hold on. I gotta find it here. No, yeah, it's gone. Oh, wait, no, it's not gone. Here it is. Ah, you want your enforcement? There's your enforcement right there.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Bible, man. That was the enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, you followed this to the letter of the law. I mean, that's how it was. You know, you're not going to go to a high school and be handed one of these and say, okay, here's the rules and regulations. Learn them, follow them, study them. You know, the whole nine. You're not going to get that. You know, no public
Nope.
school is going to hand you a blue book or any book, you know, and say, here's your rules, follow them. You know, honor roll.
Yeah. Yeah.
Neckties. I mean, you know, I mean, dude, it was everything is in here. I mean, you really look at it. Special orders, general orders, House of Reps. You know, I mean, church and mother's hour. You know, we had that discussion. Who's
Yeah.
got a stamp? You know, merit and demerit
Yeah.
system. You know, here's all your gigs. You know, uniform, improper uniform, 2 gigs. You know, disreputable. 5 gigs. You know, dirty, 1 gig. Well, I know a few people that got that. You know, TV room 5 hours and TV is confiscated. Wait, what? TV in room. We didn't have TVs in our rooms. There was one TV in the whole building. What year was this? All right, hold on here. Hold on. We got to check the year on this.
They might be talking about the quote unquote rec room. If you
Yeah,
guys had one.
yeah. You weren't lifting that TV up, man. You remember how big and heavy they were. You see somebody trying to like sneak that up into their room in the middle of the night. I'm sure some. All right, all you old alumni. Somebody somewhere has to have had done that because it's in here. Okay, somebody somewhere put a TV in their room. Now,
I know there was a person that they had one of those little itty bitty TVs about yay big.
okay, yeah.
And they would use it, and it would get passed around from time to time, so people could stay up and watch whatever their favorite shows were late at night till it got confiscated.
Gregory, best teachers were majors. Best teachers were Major Stewart and Major Harless. I remember Major Harless. He did the security at night. Remember,
Yeah.
our last couple years, he was the security guard at night, and then I think he was doing substitute teaching as well, if I
Yep.
remember. Mark, he said I have dreams of Carson Long periodically, so it have had a big impression on my life. So, I know Charles Burlington. I still call him Captain Burlington. Everybody called him Captain Bop. We knew. For the record, I gave him that name. You remember that? I gave him that name. I actually saw him this weekend. By the way, he's doing very well. Alex Brill was also down there. We kind of caught up for a minute, but Charles Burlington's doing very well, and I'm glad to see he's still around. But even he was definitely one of the big inspirations I know on a lot of people. I lost my train of thought.
Burlington was pretty cool.
Yeah,
He was.
it's funny. We actually started talking about we were talking about firefighting, and he brought up electric cars, and me and Keith just kind of like rolled our eyes. We're like, yeah, that's like a curse word in the fire departments, man. Like you don't want a Tesla or something. And the only thing he could say is, he'll kick me later for this. I don't remember what chemical. I want to say sodium chloride or some methyl ethyl bad stuff. And he turned around and he looked at me at the firehouse and he goes, I mean, you remember when we used to blow that stuff up? And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember you blew up the racquetball court with it, And he's like, that's what they're putting in these cars, And I said, yeah, pretty much. I said, yeah, I remember you blew up the racket court with it. You put a hole in the ground. And then went, oops, that wasn't supposed to happen. Oh, that's what I was going to say. But I know, like Charles Burlington, those of you that are on the Carson Long page, his son posts all the time. He wasn't even, remember, he wasn't even a student. James was just there. And, I don't know, James, I know you're on the page. You're probably watching. Your dad and I go way back. But, James posts all the time. He still has dreams about the campus and the school. I mean, I don't remember the last time I had one. I used to have them, but it's been a long time. Watch, I'll have one tonight. I'll have a nightmare tonight. Watch.
Yeah, we'll both be dreaming about it tonight. And we wake up, oh my God.
Like, I hate you. I'm going to be texting you tomorrow. I freaking hate you. But he posts all the time. He still has dreams about it. And here's a guy that wasn't even a student. He was just on campus, homeschooled by his mom and Charles Burlington. I mean, and the school still had an impact on him. Just being in that environment, being in that situation of, around a bunch of guys that are structured, and. So, and James is another one. He's a big train guy. I love watching he takes really good videos, by the way. But that structure's was a huge part of it. And like I said, you don't get that in public school, and there it is. There's your structure right here. I got to read through this sometime, and there's a lot of nice reading in here. I'll have to go through this for the next episode. Drinking, yeah. No, nobody will be intoxicated. Man, it takes the fun out of it, though. No, we don't know anything about NyQuil or cough. What was it? The mouthwash. It was the mouthwash. That was the big one.
Oh yeah. No, I don't know nothing about that either.
So the only other thing I got is so Saturday. Those that don't know, Saturday was my birthday. The big 4-5. We're getting old. We're not young anymore. My ex actually got me something. And I told her I would show it. So she's kind of texting me, getting antsy. You gonna show them? You gonna show them? Yeah, I'm gonna show them. Relax. So she got me I had one before, and it got really old and kind of dirty and messed up. But I got a nice sweatshirt hoodie she got me. So on the front, you can see. Gotta fix the camera here. It's got my name, class of 98. And then on the back, I really like is our school emblem. And it's actually really bright too. It's not like faded or dark, so. But now I told her I would show that. So I think she got it on Amazon. So those that might want something like that for, just to have, I think you can get them on Amazon. You just put the emblem in there and stuff. But yeah, it's not about merchandising, but obviously we got some stuff here, Try to make it look nice at least. So, which by the way, the blanket, which is I'm not good at direction here. The blue blanket right there, that one. That was actually distributed in later years toward the end of the school. That they had that on the bed versus like we all had, which
the Green Army blankets.
Well, all right, so I remember that. That was my first year. But if you remember toward the later years, it was whatever color blankets you wanted because I still have my one red maroon or red blanket, and it still has my school tag on it. And for a school that was all about uniformity, that never made sense to me. We're all uniform, and the bookcases are uniform, but we all had different colored bed sheets. Never understood that. But I do remember the army green blankets, and man, were they itchy? They sucked. And how many people that used to sleep on the floor, because they didn't want to mess their bed up.
Well, what I did was I had a sleeping bag, and I would just roll the sleeping bag out and sleep it underneath it. And in the morning, I'd just roll it back up and tuck it underneath my bed.
Yeah. Now I remember there were guys that did that. Yeah. You just can't mess your shoe line up under the bed, God forbid.
Make sure you don't mess that up.
Yeah, no, it was for the weekend. It said Gregory says every time Grove was off for the weekend, the company commander was an alcoholic from Thailand. JJ also ratted. Who we were talking about that the other day. Who was it? Balkaya, that's right. We had Balkaya. He was our foreigner. He was definitely something else.
He was an interesting guy.
You must study. You must study.
Old TJ, God rest his soul.
Yeah, man, that's it's a shame. All the good ones are gone. I mean, we definitely had some good instructors, and
we did.
Rodney Grove was, he was definitely I tell you what, you'll never meet a smarter man than him. I mean, I'll never, and I'll tell a Grove story that I know you're going to appreciate. You'll remember this one. And Rodney, if you're watching this one, I still hate you for this. But I remember we used to be in science class, and we'd be sitting in class, and we'd be taking a test or something, whatever it was, and he'd be in the background, and he'd be tinkering with something, and everybody every once in a while, like, well, what's he doing? What's he doing? Finally, one day, we all look back there, and he's working on a rifle. So we, all right, he's fixing a rifle for the rifle range. And I don't know if you remember where I'm going with this. So he had the rifle, and he was fixing a rifle, and we figured, okay, he's fixing a rifle for the rifle range. And it was around Gold Star platoon inspection. I remember that. And we used to sit there and trying to remember, I lost my chat channel here. Oh, I moved it. Duh. My junior year, senior year, always rubbing alcohol. But I remember we were out on what do you call it? Not what was the LET training that we did after classes? You remember? The J Rod.
Drill.
Yeah, drill, whatever you call it, drill, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I remember we were out there, we were in formation, and we did, the battalion commander, inspection arms. We did inspection arms, and he did it again, and he did it for a third time, and finally Major Grove comes over with a rifle in his hand, and he goes, "Now you guys aren't paying attention." See, now it hit you, didn't it?
Oh yeah,
it hit you.
Remember this now.
So he walks over and he goes, "You guys aren't paying attention." I wanted to say it was my first year, but I couldn't remember. And he walks over and he was standing right in front of me. Like, I remember he was directly in front of me. He was in front of Centennial, and he's like, "You guys aren't paying attention. You're not looking in the barrel of the gun. You're not checking this, or whatever you call it." I know he's going to yell at me because I don't know the name of it. And looking in the slide. I'm not a gun person, obviously. But he was yelling at everybody. He's like, when you do your count, you do 1, 2, look down. He's like, because you need to make sure that it's clear that there's no bullet in there. And I'm sitting there in the back of my head going, like, dude, none of these guns have a firing pin in them. I know sooner.
Rod down the barrel of
Yep. I no sooner say that. He goes, because you never know. And he fires a shot off from a Springfield 03A3. Which, by the way, anybody who's never heard one, they're really loud, especially when you're a kid. And I just remember, man, the entire battalion jumped like 3 steps back. And we all looked at each other and we all looked at each other and we're like, well, we know what he was fixing for the last 2 weeks. I said he was putting a firing pin back in.
Yeah. Then the next time we did it again, we're all going to...
But yeah, I'll never forget that, man. And and I do remember after that, man, you looked down in the barrel every time. You checked it. You cleared that rifle. But I remember that, man, clear as day. And he just said, because you never know. And all of a sudden, man, just fires a shot off. I mean, I'm sure knowing him, it was a blank, I would hope. I'm sure that man's smart enough to know bullets come down, but it's one thing that always stuck with me, man. It's like, and even today, like, I mean, I'm not a gun person. Obviously, I own firearms, pro gun, whatever. But even to this day, like even my boss is pro gun. He's a state constable, the whole nine. If he buys something new, we'll all look at it. First thing I do, man, check the chamber, like anything in there. But it stuck with me for the longest time that I remembered that. And I know a lot of these guys remember it too because it scared the shit out of you.
Oh, yeah, it did.
So, let's see. Rodney Grove had an arsenal. He seemed to have everything. Yeah, I remember. He did have a lot of stuff. Still does, actually. So, yeah, I know he, for a while, he was doing podcasts or whatever you want to call it. And, I won't mention names. We'll keep it quiet here. But he was calling it the Colonel's Corner, and somebody that was in the military, which I don't get me wrong, totally understand, totally respect. He went after him about well, you're not a colonel, so technically, and okay, I get it, but in the same aspect, it's like I get it, but come on, So, but I do miss your videos, Rodney. So if you ever get around to it, you could always do Rodney's rant. I kind of like that one, Rodney's rant.
Yeah.
Grove knows, there's a few of them we could come up with for you. But I do kind of miss your videos, man. You got to get back into that stuff. We just got to.
I think he's having more time spending time with his grandkids.
Oh yeah, man, they're adorable too. Yeah, I know he's been posting a lot of that on Facebook and stuff. But yeah, we could come up with a couple names for him. I mean, we'll help you out. I'd love to get him in here one time, man. It'd be cool to have him on here.
Yeah.
So Rodney, if you ever want to get on, let me know. Even if you want to call in on the phone, we'll get you in. I'd love to have you. But any staff, actually, we'd love to have any of the staff members on here. You guys, even if you guys want to call in, a couple of you have my phone number. If we're ever live streaming, you want to call in, just shoot me a text first. And we'll get you on. We'll definitely we'd love to have you. Trying to stay up to date on text messaging here. Gregory said it taught me a lot about life, and I can't complain. So, yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, that was our main topic tonight. Was what effect did the school have on you, and was it long term? And I think we're all pretty much on the same page with that. But I mean, like I said, the guy that brought it up, he wasn't trying to stir the pot or start trouble. He was just he's like, I'm legitimately curious. Like do a lot of these guys.
Right.
How did it affect them? Did it affect them that way? And for me, obviously, yes, it did. I know for you, it did. I mean, even my best friend, like I said, even Nick, Nick was like, dude, I would have went if I could have afforded it. I'd have went in a heartbeat, So, there was definitely a lot of us that it definitely had a very positive effect on. So,
Yep.
But, all right, well, we're coming up on about an hour, so I guess we'll call it quits. We'll try to get another one out here sometime soon, guys. We'd love to have you. If anybody wants to join us, by all means, please, reach out to me. Macintosh, I still got to get with you. We'll get you set up and get you in here because, I'd love to hear you again, man. We miss you, and I know we text every now and then or chat on here, but we'd love to chat with you in person. Gregory, thanks for joining us. A couple of the other guys I know that were popping in between YouTube and the Facebook page. Sorry for the technical difficulties in the beginning. Like I said, we're still new at this. I'll show you guys what I deal with. I mean, I got 1, 2, 3, 4 screens here, and one of the screens has 2 things up. So it's actually, I'll show you this real quick. Give you a sneak peek here of what goes on. So just to give you guys an idea of how much is involved here. It's not always 100%, but we're trying to make it that. It's still a learning curve. I mean, I'm a gamer, not a streamer, but it's a pretty neat setup though. Once you figure out how to do things, it's not that bad. So if there's ever technical problems, just reach out to us, let us know. I mean, like I said, it's a learning process. So Gregory said the drill team was awesome. I know. I gotta find it somewhere. I have the trophy. The one thing that I won from the auction that I'm proud of, and I said luckily I got it very cheap because I was waiting for the price to go up. Was the trophy from our drill meet with the color guard. I don't remember who was on. I think Jason Lehman was on color guard with me because you were doing the band stuff.
I was doing the drum.
But I actually won the trophy that they were auctioning from my year that we did, and I was kind of proud to have that, and as the head of the color guard at the time, I was I was really happy to bring that to my house. So that is on top of my curio cabinet in a nice safe place. So, but yeah, it was the one thing I was able to get. So McIntosh said, "All love, fellas. Yeah, we'll get you in here, buddy. We'll work with you one day, and if you're not computer literate, we'll work on it." Well, so for the guys that don't, I mean, all we really do is we use a Discord. Discord's free. You can use it on even a phone, cell phone, tablet. You share your camera and, basically put your camera on in Discord, and, I take care of it from there. I mean, so as long as you got a tablet with a camera or even a cell phone works, or like I said, if you guys want to call in, message me on the Facebook or the YouTube, and I'll happily give you my number. You guys can call in, and we'll chat with you for a few minutes. But we want to get more guys involved with this. Obviously, so far it's successful. I've had a lot of positive, new word of the day, a lot of positive feedback from not only the staff but from alumni. You guys are really enjoying stories and stuff, but we want other stories. The alumni guys, we want your stories. Even if you want write something out and send it to me. I'll be happy to read it on air. I mean, we want not just the 98 group, we want older and the newer, we want it all. I mean, we want you guys to share everything. That's the whole purpose of this. So, I'd love to get some of the staff on, Rodney Grove, if you're listening, please reach out to me. We'd love to get you guys on. I know some of you, he might be, but some of the others, like Charles Burlington might not be computer literate enough to figure this out, but those that aren't, we can walk you through it. It's really not hard. Or like I said, or call in on the cell phone. We'll I'll put it on speaker. You'll be able to hear everything. So, but other than that, Gregory brought a good point up actually before we get off. So he said, and I know he sees because obviously my hair's definitely grown. This actually started with COVID. Until then, I think I only grew my hair out one time, and that was when I was 22. And it only got to like shoulder length. Now Christ, it's halfway down my back, dude. But Gregory brought a good point up. He said, he's curious. He said, how many people grew their hair out after they left Carson Long? So I might put a poll up for that one. I kind of like that. That's just from speaking from experience here. But mine started with COVID. You couldn't get a haircut. I was very picky about it. I always had the buzz cut, just like school. And when COVID hit, you couldn't get a haircut. I started growing it out, and haven't stopped it since. I mean, I go to the same girl. She trims it up a little bit. Just had it done Saturday actually, but she trims it up for me. But yeah, mine's getting pretty. It's pretty lengthy now. I think this is the longest I've ever had it. So, but I'm also an Undertaker fan. Those that don't know wrestling, huge Undertaker fan. So that's where my long hair comes from. I always like that that black long hair look.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
but Gregory said, big up to you guys for doing this. We appreciate it, buddy. I mean, it does mean a lot, that you guys are, giving us positive feedback. That's what we want. We want your guys' feedback. If you guys have topics, anything you want to talk about or you want us to bring up, we'll be happy to share it. Like I said, I mean, we want to get everything out there and, get guys' experiences from the school. Like prime example tonight was, was it really that big of an influence on us? And I think, most of us were pretty yes. Comes on experience of the school. I know a lot of the older alumni that are, the real old guard, as we call them, the old guard, they'll tell you right now, they'll bleed for that school and they won't hesitate. I mean, I'm obviously, I'm one of them. I mean, as the one that basically formed the closing ceremonies and killed myself doing it, but to have Colonel Holman himself say that was his retirement party and thanked me and broke my hand shaking it, that really meant a lot to me. For a man that helped mold me into what I become, that meant a lot to me. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, like I said, I mean, we appreciate your guys' feedback and you guys watching and taking the time to watch. I mean, I know obviously it's Monday night, everybody's busy, we all got a lot going on, but like I said, we don't have to do this once a week. We can do it whenever. I mean, whatever you guys got a topic or, Michael and I are free, or I'm trying to get Chris on, Chris McCullough, those that remember him and I talk. Would like to get a couple of you guys on though, and get you guys in here. On a leaving note though, I did say, so the last one we discussed, I'll make this real quick. we had brought up to you guys about anybody that needs anything, feel free to reach out to us. Michael, you remember me saying that. I said,
Yeah.
if you guys are, if you're dealing with any kind of depression, stuff like that, the worst thing you can do is keep it in. I'm not going to mention his name. I had the text, Michael. I'll talk with you about it, who it was later, because you definitely know who it was. But I'm
Okay.
not going to mention his name on air. But I actually did have somebody reach out to me 2 days ago, I think it was. It was on Friday. And just wished me happy birthday. Actually, it was Saturday. He wished me happy birthday, and I said, hey, thanks, dude. I appreciate it. How you been? Oh, I've been better. And long story short, we talked back and forth almost all day, dude. And he's going through a lot right now. He currently, I got a phone call. I thought it was work, man. I was pissed. He called me at 2 o'clock this morning and woke me up to tell me, hey, I just want to let you know I didn't answer your text because I checked myself into a mental clinic to get help.
Wow.
So, our talk definitely had an impact on him, and he's getting the help he needs, and he's going to reach out to me when he gets out. He's like, I may come down for a visit. And, I mean, this is somebody that, and you may figure out who it is when I say this. This is somebody my senior year that I definitely took under my wing. I mean, him and I were very close. Um, and when he told me everything that was going on in his life, it hit me hard. And I said, look, I'm here for you. I said, I can't help you. You have to help yourself, but I can be here emotionally. So, guys, if anybody out there is dealing with it, trust me, I'm on medication myself for depression. It's real, dude.
Yeah, I'm on medication for anxiety.
You and I both work in the EMS field, or well, I'm retired. But you still work in the EMS field. You see it every day. I mean,
Oh yeah.
guys, it is real. I mean, don't sit there and be like, oh, it's BS. Or, I mean, trust me, man.
Oh no, it's real. It is very real.
The guys that hide it, and I'm one of them. The guys that hide it, they're the ones that you gotta check on them, man. Look out for these guys, because I'll be honest. If I wasn't on my medication, I don't know where I'd be right now. I mean,
Yeah.
I know he's getting the help he needs, and I'm happy. And I told him definitely stay in touch with me, and he's going to. But the fact that like I said, we said we're here for you guys, and we are. Um,
Definitely.
Obviously the only people that can help you are yourself, but we can still be here for you emotionally and supportively, because we are. I mean, we're one big family, man, and everybody knows that. Carson Long is a family, staff, alumni. We're all family. So guys, it's out there. It's real. It's out there, and look out for each other. If you haven't heard from somebody in a few days or whatever, check on them. Just say, hey man, you okay? I mean, that simple text, like obviously, case in point, when I texted him, hey man, hey, are you okay? I mean, that can mean a lot to somebody. The fact that they
Hmm.
know that somebody's there that actually cares. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
definitely.
I'll leave it on that note. But again, choose the harder right instead of the easier wrong. I got to
Mhm.
somebody's got to continue saying it, right? It might as well be us.
Yeah.
If you guys have topics for hold on, when it comes to Mark McIntosh said, when it comes to depression, you have to take it one day at a time. Tomorrow is the next day, and absolutely, man. God bless. That's absolutely right.
That's
Um,
true.
but if you guys have topics you want brought up, anybody, guys, please, I would love to get more guys on here. It's not hard. Discord's very easy to use. It's free. It doesn't cost a dime. I'll give you a Discord link. Please reach out to us, man. We would love to have guys on here, and I mean, obviously,
Definitely.
me and Michael have no problem doing this. We love to. I love doing it now. I'm actually having fun with it now. First episode was like, okay, I don't want to be on camera again. And now it's like, okay, I'm used to it. Whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'd
It's
love to
all
have you
good.
guys on. Like I said, I'm gonna try and get my best friend Nick on next week. Gives us an outside opinion. Somebody that's not been there to see. Because he did say he's like, I want to talk about the reflection that it had on you from an outside perspective. And I told him absolutely. I'd love to have that. It's like, hey, what did you see? What difference? Not that I probably want my best friend saying these things. But what differences did you see and changes did you see in me? So.
Yeah.
But other than that, guys, that's all for tonight. We'll post on the Facebook and all when we're going to do another show. But obviously, we're trying to at least do one a week. If not, we can get a couple more in there, so be it. So, but other than that, guys, that's all we got for tonight. You guys stay safe. Harder right instead of easier wrong. Um, That's all we got, man. You guys have a good one. Everybody be safe out there. Move over, slow down. I'm a big pusher for that. Move over, slow down. I work
Yeah,
out on the highway. He works on the highway. It
me
sucks.
too. Watch out for emergency vehicles.
Yeah, please, guys, move over, slow down. Or yeah, it's the one guy at my work. It's slow over, move down. He got it backwards one day. It was really funny, but I'll tell you that one later.